Mess with the millions.
It's that world heavyweight flow. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure flow. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat flow. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated, folks. Get ready, set, let's go. Fight toe to toe, release the flow created by this mic pro. Lights, camera, get low. Action packed, back to back. In fact, this monster will grow. Y'all better let him know. Man with the master plan, and you have no need to know. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.
Sports Professor.
Yo, what up, friends? Welcome in to another installment of The Professor's Semanalmente, featuring yours truly, Omar, the Professor Fonseca. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to my weekly headlines, news, entertainment, sports. We're going to break it all down for you. What is going on around the world right now? What are the hottest stories? And we're going to break it all down for you. Not hottest, because some of them are not always great stories. But make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS on YouTube, and you'll be able to follow all of our videos. We just hit 500 videos over the weekend, so what an amazing accomplishment since we started doing live videos a couple years ago. So anyways, thank y'all again for subscribing, and thank y'all for supporting, as always. So let's kick this bad boy off, shall we? Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do, first of all, can't even go any further since tomorrow is Christmas Eve, and we have Christmas coming up on Wednesday. Other places and countries, religions celebrate other things other than Christmas. So a Merry Christmas, a Happy Bodhi Day, Happy Diwali, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Festivus for the rest of us, as they say. So that's a big shout out to everybody and whatever you're celebrating this week. I hope you're enjoying time with your family and your friends, getting to have, good rest period, but also realizing how grateful we are to not only be alive every day, but a lot of us have more than most people have. There's a lot of people out there that won't be able to get presents or even have food on the table this holiday season. So definitely think about those people that could be in a worse off situation than you, and just be thinking about them. And I hope everybody enjoys again that holiday season with your family. Cool. All right. Awesome. Well, again, Merry Christmas and all that jazz. Happy holidays to everybody. Getting into world news. Crazy in the space exploration, NASA has what's called the Parker Solar Probe, and this is going to get within, and this is crazy, 3.8 million miles from the sun's surface. It's going to be the closest human-made object to ever get, or the closest a human-made object will or has ever gotten so far. Can't say will. We don't know what will happen in the future. But that's crazy, and it gets even crazier that they will be 3.8 million miles away, but the heat shields will reach 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit in temperature. 3.8 million miles away from the sun, and it's 1,800 degrees. That's just unfathomable to even think about. I read that, and I was like, what? They're that far away, and it's still that hot? And it's still that hot. That's like 18 times some of the hottest places we have here, right? Like, if you go into some of the deserts, it may get a little hotter, but that was wild to me. So figured I had to make sure everybody knew a fun fact like that. Moving on into more important world news, though, that was more on the space exploration front. China has come out this past weekend. Their government is protesting the announcements of U.S. military sales and assistance to Taiwan, warning that the United States is playing with fire. Now, so what's the backstory on this? President Joe Biden authorized this past weekend the provision of up to $571 million in Defense Department materials and services and military education and training for Taiwan. Well, the Chinese government obviously did not take kindly to that, as they consider Taiwan to be a territory of the mainland of China. So, since they do, and since Joe Biden also gave 295 million back in September, this has got the Chinese government up in arms, and they are protesting it as a dangerous move that could undermine the peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, which is a island of 23 million people. That obviously their history, right, goes way back. This is the splitting of the Chinese populace. Again, China still considers Taiwan to be their territory. Taiwan considers themselves to be their own country. Um, we have a one China policy here in the United States that our government is mandated to follow, but also at the same time we are, and it's a weird dichotomy. But we're also dependent to be, or will be dependent on, to defend some of these countries out here, that not just Taiwan, there's other countries as well, like what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. The situation is pretty much the exact same sort of scenario there. So keep your eyes and ears out for that. Biden is he's not making a lot of people happy as he leaves the office, especially not on the conservative side of the aisle. Um, just today as well, and we'll get into this in a little bit, but he commuted the sentences of 37 of the 40 death row inmates, which means they won't face the death penalty. So depending on where you stand on that issue, would be what you thought about that. The commuting of those sentences, they will still spend the rest of their life in jail, though. So they're still going to face their punishment. But again, how you feel about the death penalty? Some may say that some people that commit heinous crimes don't deserve to be among the human population. So take that for what it is. But again, a lot of people just aren't happy with some of the things that are going on. The more military assistance to Ukraine, now with Taiwan, and then previously the pardoning of his son, which any father should do. That's crazy that anybody would think otherwise. But yeah, I mean, I can see why the conservative side of the aisle would be, kind of like, what's going on, man? This guy is just, throwing everything at the wall while he's on his way out. So, we'll see how it ends up affecting his legacy into the future. But to say that it was an inauspicious start with the Afghanistan withdrawal, and to say that it is it's a little rocky ending with the Kamala being put up for the presidency in his place, and him sort of not being around these last couple months of his presidency. We'll see how that affects his legacy in the long run. But it's definitely going to take away from the good that he did, because he did a lot of good within the middle portion of his presidency, and so this will definitely, I assume, will give it some kind of hit to that. Moving on, in other U.S. news, Starbucks. We're having a strike in Starbucks in L.A., Chicago, Seattle. There are labor disputes. It is a 5-day strike that has been enacted by the union, who represents 11,000 of the Starbucks workers. They are now striking and protesting for better wages. They want a wage increase. The company had proposed a 1.5% pay raise in future years. In the latest contract offer this past week, this was per the actual union strike announcement. The union argued that Starbucks has more room to go before they can actually meet their demands. And as always, it gets kind of hairy when you're talking about workers who are getting paid minimum wage or maybe a little more, which still is not anything in this country and still needs to be increased to a level necessary to be able to live in this country. So that's a whole different subject that we could get into at another time. But the CEO, Brian Nickel, who was put in September, could earn up to $100 million in compensation in his first year for hitting all sorts of goals. And I mean, you got to be kidding me. So the Starbucks CEO is can possibly, not that he would, but could possibly make this grand amount of money. And you're telling me that you can't pay your workers a little more? Nah, man, that don't jive with me. And this is exactly why I believe in unions being able to fight for worker rights and other, uh, less powerful entities and segments of workers. And I mean, just like the college athletes with the NIL and trying to get rid of the Sherman Antitrust Act with the amateurism and all this stuff. So I mean, I get paid what you can. We live in a capitalist society. Uh, that's what a capitalist society does. You give the opportunity for everybody to make as much money as their talent or their skills will allow them to make. Now, where you go after that, taxes, things like that, is going to be different for every person. But at least, right, you have the opportunity to make as much money in a capitalist society as your skills and your talent will allow you to make. But this isn't the only strike going on. Also in Germany, Volkswagen just settled striking union workers there. They had planned to shutter 3 plants around the country. That they will no longer do that now after the strike, but they will cut jobs. So there's always going to be pros and cons with every single scenario that kind of goes into, you know, better pay, better working conditions, which they were also aiming for, similar to Amazon and how they've had their issues with the union and the being wanting, better worker conditions. We've heard the horror stories, people not being able to take bathroom breaks and things like that. And I know Amazon workers, so I actually know firsthand that those things are true. And so, if you're expecting people to do a job that is making your company more money, you can't then expect them to want to, or at least even be motivated enough to do a good job if you're not providing them basic proper working conditions or a basic livable wage. And so that's kind of what we're dealing with in this situation here at Starbucks. I'll get you a better answer. I'm gonna do some more research into this situation as the week goes on, and I'll give you an update next week. Uh, Also, speaking of the government, Congress passed the last minute government funding bill to avoid a shutdown. Now, I worked for the government for a long time, and it's funny because this comes up every year. This happens every damn year. It's the same thing every year. There's always going to be some shutdown, and then they always figure it out at the last minute, maybe a day or two. It never really ever goes through an extensive shutdown. Every blue moon, sure, it might happen, but for the most part, it is scare tactics used by politicians in order to push more things through that they want. So it came out that there was a huge proposal put out, and if you're on X or you're on Twitter or you follow Elon Musk, you heard that he I believe he tweeted, and I don't know the correct number on this, so I'm not even going to count the number, but 100 times or something about the bill in like a 24-hour period, and how inflated it was, and all these other things. They ended up cutting it down a significant portion, and ended up pushing it through. President Biden is expected to sign that deal, and would extend it. It would fund the government through mid-March. It would extend the farm bill for 1 year and would allocate 100 billion in disaster relief alongside 30 billion in emergency aid for our farmers. Now, this was obviously in contrary to what incoming President-elect Donald Trump wanted. He wanted there to be the cap on the spending, so that way he did not have to deal with that incoming deficit that then would be put on his plate, which is understandable coming from his side. Of course, he wouldn't want that. Anybody who would be on that side wouldn't want that. But at the same time, this happens, as I mentioned, every single year, and it's the same story every time. So it's not going to change just because there's a change in the presidency. Speaking of Donald Trump, he came out with some more policies and other things he wants to do when his presidency does start. His transition team has announced that they would like to withdraw from the World Health Organization. Also, at his speech at America Fest this weekend, he floated taking back control of the Panama Canal, citing concerns over the high fees for ships that are doing passage through the canal. Each ship has to pay a fee depending on size, country, cargo, all that good jazz that gets factored into the formula to come up with how much someone would pay. So just a lot of different things that are being thrown around that are supposed to happen once he gets back into office. And so we'll see. He even said that he vowed to oblige Russian President Vladimir Putin, who says that he wants to speak with Donald Trump in hopes of ending the Ukraine-Russian war. Again, as I mentioned last week, anytime you have anything coming from the Russian propaganda machine of Putin and the rest of them, you've got to just take that with a grain of salt until you actually see them put it into action. Because a lot of times it's just that. It's just propaganda because that's what they specialize in. Is psyop, psychological operations, making people feel less than due to operations that they use in ways to get people to think the way that they want people. Speaking of the Trump, Lara Trump, excuse me, has removed her name from consideration to fill Marco Rubio's soon-to-be vacant Senate seat. So that's an update. You'll remember I mentioned a few weeks ago that there was a rumor that she would probably be taking that Senate seat, even though she had no political experience. Well, apparently the blowback on that was not to her liking, and so she has removed her name from that. I have to assume that was what was the case, or she just realized she had no experience for that. Either way, she will not be doing that. I did mention earlier that about I forgot to mention this when I mentioned the Biden commuting the death row sentences, but one reason that this is I guess important or not important, but relevant to the incoming president-elect is that Trump has Biden was the one that put the moratorium in place on federal capital punishment to stop it, but he was under, and we don't know this to be true, right? We wouldn't know unless it actually happened, but he was under the idea that Trump was going to come in and resume executions, death penalty execution. So that's why he did that. I wanted to make sure I added that in there because that is an important note. All right. Moving on to entertainment. Got a couple notes here in the entertainment world. First of all, the James Bond franchise has stalled at Amazon. So, and it's over family disagreements as usual with this sort of thing. But there's been speculation in the air about who would be the next Bond, if there ever would be another Bond movie to come out. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Barbara Broccoli, which, what a fantastic name that is. It sounds like a cartoon villain, Barbara Broccoli. And her daughter, Bond producer Albert R. Broccoli. It was Mr. Mustard in the kitchen with the knife. Clue, what a great game. Who, anyway, still retains creative control over the franchise, distrusts Amazon's reliance on algorithms and personal data to make their movies. So basically what that means in layman's terms is they don't trust Amazon to create good enough Bond films based on their track record thus far. So, but Amazon holds all rights to release any new Bond movies by virtue of its purchase from MGM Studios back in 2021. Although to this point, already 3 years into the deal, only one Bond show has been made by Amazon, and that was a reality show called 007 Road to a Million. We will see what happens there. We'll keep you updated. Netflix has got exclusive U.S. broadcasting rights for the 2027 and 2031 FIFA Women's World Cup. So the Women's World Cup, obviously very, very hot commodity, being the fact, the women's soccer team here in America, especially, and in a lot of other countries too, but especially here in America, has been much better than the men's team in the past couple decades. So that being the case, it's a very hot commodity to have that FIFA World Cup, and Netflix will be the ones actually having those rights for 2027 and 2031. All right, moving on to sports. Before we get you out of here for the game tonight, we got the Saints and the Packers. So I'll get into my prediction there in just a moment. But let's go through some sports news, and then we'll get into our power rankings for the week. So first of all, a rest in power to the man of steel, Rickey Henderson, who died this past weekend at the age of 65. The Hall of Famer holds the all-time stolen base record with 1,406 stolen bases. Many consider him to be the greatest leadoff hitter in baseball history. I certainly do. I am definitely in that camp. I am a huge Rickey Henderson fan. From the style to the, his eccentric ways. He ran with a Cuban link chain on. He spoke in third person, just tremendous. 10-time All-Star, first ballot Hall of Famer back in 2009. One of the first players that I love, because my favorite player of all time is Jose Fonseca. Shout out Jose. We need to get together on some marketing stuff, by the way. Hit me up. So Jose Fonseca was part of the Bash Brothers, who were on the late 80s Oakland A's team that Rickey Henderson was on as well when they won that title back in 1989. So sincere rest in power to the man of steel, Rickey Henderson. Moving on, Alexander Usyk. Shout out to our combat sports and boxing insider, Clubber D, the Combat G. Got it right as usual. He predicted an Alexander Usyk decision victory over Tyson Fury for the WBO, WBA, WBC World Heavyweight Boxing Championships, and he hit it right on the head. Alexander Usyk did win. Unanimous decision this time around, 116-112 on all three scorecards. I forgot to turn my ring light on, so I probably look a little low, so we'll just turn that on. Maybe I look a little better now. But anyways, so unanimous decision, not a split decision like last time, even though Fury and his camp say that they want to dispute the cards. It was pretty much right across the board. All the judges, well, it wasn't pretty much, it was all across the board. All the judges had it the same. We will talk, and when we talk to Clubber D next, I'm sure we will have his answer as to what will be next for both of these gentlemen going into the future. He did mention possibility of retirement from one or both of these athletes. So again, we'll see what happens, but just an update there. And that now makes Clubber D's record within the past 3 pay-per-views, boxing and UFC, with the 2 disputed victories from UFC 310. He is now 12-1. Y'all better get with Clubber D and his predictions. I tell y'all, he is an expert and an insider for a reason. That being said, shout out to the Penn State women's volleyball team. They won the program's 8th national title yesterday, beating Louisville. But this means a lot more when I'll get into here in a second why. But first of all, let's start with an amazing game they had against the Nebraska women. So as you know, Nebraska women volleyball, huge, right? They're the ones selling out the stadiums, having the midnight volleyball and all that stuff. What an amazing game. Nebraska goes up 2-0. I watched the whole thing. I couldn't take my eyes on it. I was transfixed. What a great word by a Puerto Rican on a live TV show. Shout out my brother Conan. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Orale, arriba la raza. Anyways, so first of all, Amazing comeback. They were down 2-0 in the set. They won 3 games in a row, which is called the reverse draw. And so they came back, reverse sweep, which is very rarely done in volleyball. But you do remember volleyball is a best 3 out of 5 series in college. So the coach, Katie Schumacher-Cawley, is the first woman, which is incredible. I can't believe that this is true, but she's the first woman to coach a D1 team to a title in women's volleyball. So that's just crazy. But she's also a former Penn State player and helped them win their first title all the way back in 1999. But as well, not only did she coach this team to a 35-2 record, but salute to her. She has been undergoing chemotherapy for breast cancer. Our prayers go out to you, Katie Schumacher-Cawley. Hopefully you get that eradicated as quickly as possible and get back to full health. But she's a G. She's a OG because she ain't never missed one practice all year long. So prayers up to her and salute to the Penn State women's volleyball team. Moving on. Other news in the women's world of sports. The highest paid female athlete list came out just last week. Your top 3 female athletes. Number 1 is Coco Gauff, who had a total between salary, her winnings from tournaments and endorsements, $30.5 million. In skiing, at number 2, Eileen Gu, who came with $22.1 million. And then from the tennis world, Iga Swiatek, who came out with $21.5 million. So those are your top 3 highest paid female women athletes of 2024. You're probably asking, where is Naomi Osaka? She is at number 6, $16 million. You may say, where is our girl Simone Biles? She is at number 9, $11 million. And she is tied with Caitlin Clark. So that would have been the other person you probably asked about. They are all there in the top 10. I would have thought as well, though, that Caitlin Clark would have at least been a little higher, considering the popularity that she both her and Biles, because the Olympics was this year too. So yeah, I just damn, Olympics seemed like 2 years ago. It's only this summer. Wow, I'm fly, crazy. Anyways, so that's your highest paid female athletes of 2024. Now, moving on, before we get into our power rankings, a couple other news and notes here. Earlier, we talked about the FIFA Women's Cup being streamed by Netflix. Well, the FIFA has named that Saudi Arabia will be the World Cup host for 2034, which then goes into the bigger picture of sports washing and all these other conversations you get because of their human rights record and all these other things. Well, as y'all know, as I said earlier about the capitalist society, in this world, money talks. And that's about all I have to say. So that will explain to you why they have now they will now host the World Cup in 2034. In 2030, just to update you, it will be hosted by 6 countries together. So you can see the juxtaposition there, huh? Money. Got that oil money, baby. Oh, anyways, in 2030, it will be hosted by Morocco, Portugal, Spain, and then there will be big centennial matches for the centennial celebration in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. So that will be your World Cup host of 2030. NBA All-Star Game, we got some changes. They're trying to spruce it up since the NBA All-Star Game has gotten boring and no one watched it anymore because it was just a glorified pickup game of a bunch of dunks and threes. They are now going to try to switch it around. They are going to do a round-robin tournament-style formula with 4 different teams consisting of 3 All-Star teams from the 24 All-NBA All-Stars, which will be split up into 3 8-man teams, and then a Rising Stars team, which will comprise the 4th team. They will compete for money, so they're hoping that money will motivate them to play harder in this game to make it more of a television viewing event. The teams will compete for $1.8 million, which the championship team winning $125K, and the second place team, each person winning $50K. The third and fourth place teams will get a cool $25,000 a piece. So we'll see if that inspires more motivation to watch the game. I know for one, I'll flick it on, watch a little bit here and there. I might switch back and forth to whatever else I'm watching, but I definitely have not watched a whole All-Star game in forever. But I remember when it was great. I remember back in like the 80s and 90s when you had Magic and Bird and MJ, and just like the games were so good and everybody actually gave a shit and tried. And so hopefully they'll get, I don't know that this is going to get all the way back to that, but hopefully it brings some semblance of competition and passion back to what should be a mainstream event, and it's not. So shout out my boy Sir Genius and the rest of my my Squad Mob Vets crew, Diaz, Moore, Mount. Oh yeah, I went out to the 2003 All-Star game in Denver. I went to go visit my boy Sir Genius. Is the hip hop that binds us. He was stationed out there in Air Force at Buckley, and I wanted to visit him. And I remember it was great. It was great because this was in Gilbert Arenas, was dope, and was playing for the Wizards, right? And we got tickets right next to the entrance where all the All-Stars came out at. So while the All-Stars were coming out, they had this little ball. I still have the ball. It's in my house in Nashville. I still have it. It's in my living room. It's a blue basketball mini ball, and it had the All-Star game on it, whatever. But and so each All-Star had their own that they came out and they throw out to the fans. Well, when Gilbert came out, I was like, "Yo, Gilbert, DMV, baby, we here, DC." And he saw me, and he saw me in uniform, because we were in uniform at the time, because we were all in active duty. And he threw me the ball. So what an amazing memory. Damn, that's a good memory. Anyways, I just had to say that. Moving on, before we get into our rankings, we had the college football playoff quarterfinals this past weekend. And so obviously it was a 12-team tournament that has now been whittled down to 8 teams. They will play in 4 games starting next Tuesday. So it will be New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day, which is typically reserved for college football dominance in the past. It had started to lose that luster there for a little while, but they're hoping to restore that now by having college football all day, the day before and the day of. So next Tuesday, well, let me back up and give you the results from this weekend. In the Friday night game, Notre Dame beat Indiana 27-17. Game wasn't as close as that sounds. It was 27-3 in the fourth quarter. Notre Dame beat them handily. Same thing here, 38-24. Excuse me. I take Jake's Texas Longhorns beat the Clemson Tigers. Again, not a close game. You're going to see a theme. All games were blowouts. Penn State, 38-10. I called the SMU upset because James Franklin had barely ever won a big game. And I still don't even consider this a big win, to be honest. But, hey, he beat SMU, so give him the credit. They won 38-10. And then the Volunteers, Volunteers out in Knoxville, good season. They got blown out by the Ohio State Buckeyes, 42-17. That sets us up for this week coming up, and this week on Tuesday. Actually, you know what? Even better here. Let me go ahead and I'm going to bring up the bracket for you so you can see it, and I don't have to just talk it out to you. But coming up this weekend, or next week on Tuesday, we'll have Penn State versus Boise State. And so there's a lot of controversy going on right now because of the seeding within the college football playoffs. So this is weird because Boise State and Arizona State, who were ranked 3 and 4 due to them winning the championship and being ranked higher than the ACC champion, they are now going to be the home team where it should be the favorite. They'll be hosting teams that are actually going to be the favorite team. And that's not how a tournament should work. The favorite team should always be hosting the games at their home stadium. So they're definitely going to have to do reseeding at some point there will be enough of a blowback. There will be enough of people saying, no, we can't have this. And they're going to eventually have to do reseeding. Hot Take Jake had an amazing idea that I actually really like, and that's giving the teams their choice to play whoever they want. So, for instance, Oregon being your number one team, they get to wait till the weekend is out, see who won their games, who lost their games, and they can say, oh, well, we want to play Boise State, or we want to play Arizona State. So I actually think that's an amazing idea, very novel of a concept. You know me as the professor. I am solutions oriented, so shout out to my boy Hot Take Jake for that solutions oriented approach. And make sure y'all are always subscribed at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS, so you can stay up to date with all the videos when we go live. Again, we are celebrating. We had hit our 500th video over the weekend. So again, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like button. Help us out if you're watching right now. Hit that like, hit that heart, whatever, so we can get a little bit of boost in that algorithm. We really appreciate you. All right. So yeah, let me bring up the bracket real quick here on the screen. Share. So this is what we got for this weekend. Again, like I said, we have Penn State going into Boise State, which you can see down here at the bottom. We also have Canteen's Georgia Bulldogs going into Notre Dame, going into visit Georgia and the Georgia Bulldogs. Texas, the Longhorns. This is one of those games, just like the Boise State. Texas is a favorite team, but they're going to Arizona State on the road. That's not how that should be. They should be at home. It's only logical. So you have Texas there going into Arizona State, and then you have Oregon also, again, having to play. This is another controversy. Oregon, as the number one team, should not have the hardest road. And you're telling me that you're going to put them up against Ohio State, which was the number 2, number 3 team all season long. The best game of the year was Oregon-Ohio State. It was a 1-point victory for Oregon when they played back in, I think it was like week 5. So they should not have to play them in their first game off a bye. They should be getting the Arizona State or the Boise State. So y'all see how that goes. That's the issue that people have with that. So let's go down into our projections. I like to show you these now. These are our updated projections to win the championship. You see Texas has moved into number 1 spot with a 24% chance to win the championship. This is all per The Athletic. Thank you for the great information from The Athletic. Ohio State comes in at number 2 with a 22% chance, and then Oregon follows them up at number 3 with a 17% chance. Penn State at number 4, and then Georgia and Notre Dame tied at number 5. So those are your projections for who people think, or not who people think, but what the computers, when they work those formulas, who they are projecting has the best chance to win the championship. I'll go ahead and give you my predictions for these games now. So Oregon, Ohio State, again, one of the best games of the year, and normally any other year, I would say Oregon. But since I picked Ohio State to be my champion this year, well, I can't go against that. So I got to stick with Ohio State. And I do actually think they will pull this out since Oregon won earlier in the year. Another amazing game, close game. Ohio State should pull it out. Texas should beat Arizona pretty handily. Oh, my bad, by the way. Ohio State is a 2-point favorite in that game against Oregon. I think it'll be a field goal game. Texas is a 14-point favorite. So this is what we're talking about. Texas should be hosting a game. You can't tell me you're a 2-touchdown favorite and you have to go on the road. That's unacceptable. But they should still win this game by at least a touchdown. I'm going to say 10 points. I'm going to say 34-24, Texas. Then we've got Penn State and Boise State. Penn State is a 10.5-point favorite. I'm just going to keep going against Penn State until James Franklin wins the whole thing. Because, again, he hasn't proved to me yet that he can really win that big game. I'm taking Boise State in the upset here. They got Penn State, again, as a 10-point favorite. I'm going to take Boise State in a field goal game there. Let's go ahead and say that'll be 37-34. And then finally, Notre Dame versus Georgia. Georgia is a 2-point favorite. While Notre Dame has played really well this year, Marcus Johnson is building a a perennial contender there. And while they have the benefits of not being in any conference alignment, aside from their ACC non-football conference, even though they still play a lot of ACC teams. Anyways, let's just say we all know Notre Dame is afforded a lot of luxuries not being in a conference, but they're going to Georgia, and there's no way I cannot see them going into Georgia and winning this game. They are a good team. They are not Georgia. They are not. I got Georgia in a 10-point victory. Let's say 27-17, Georgia. All right, so those are your your college football playoff results and your playoff picks. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button if you're watching. I appreciate y'all. Hit that like, that love, that heart, that laugh. Give me a home decor photo. We're all good with it. And make sure you send in any of your comments or questions you have on anything I am talking about here today. Before we get into our rankings, y'all, I'm going to go off on a little rant for a second here. As you all know, if you watch programs of mine, if you've been a fan of the professor, the sports professor, the street professor, Ball and Buds, yours truly. I know I've got many fans out there, and I appreciate you all and your support and your love. You know I love all my fans out there. But you would know that I am a diehard Raiders fan. I mean, at this point, if you are a Raiders fan, you have to be diehard, because I've been a Raiders fan my whole life, and I can tell you, since the last time we went to the Super Bowl and got our buttocks beaten by the Buccaneers back in 2003, we have been a cesspool of suckiness. And it all started with your fat-ass Russell getting drafted number 1 and basically screwing our franchise for the next 20 years. But we haven't done ourselves any favors. Coaching hire mistake after coaching hire mistake. Bad free agent signing after bad free agent signing. Horrible draft after horrible draft after horrible draft after checks notes. Horrible draft. Like, we are made fun of in circles around the league for being such a bad drafting team. And the one freaking time, and if my mom wasn't watching, I would have cursed right there. The one freaking time we have destiny in our hands, in our grasp. The number 1 pick, shanking for Shutdown, was going to come true. And now it's all over. I cried a lot about this last night. I'm not afraid to say I shed a couple man tears over this. We entered the chance with a 35% chance of the number 1 pick, and we left the game because we decided to win a meaningless, stupid football game in the middle of December when we got the number 1 draft pick and the quarterback of our choice in our hands, and we win a stupid game against the damn Jaguars for no stupid reason. Sound like the Macho Man right now. I'm so pissed off. Now nothing. We have to lose the next 2 games, which is not a guarantee because we play the Saints next. Maybe if it was Derek Carr revenge game season, I'd be all in. We should win. We should lose against the Chargers, unless they rest everybody, which is possible. We have to lose both games and hope that we get help just to have a sniff at one of the quarterbacks. Because there's only 2 quarterbacks going at the top of this draft. Shedeur Sanders from Colorado and Cam Ward from Miami. And now we damn screwed ourselves. I'm up in arms. I would say I'm at a loss for words, but I'm not, because I'm clearly talking about it right now. But just know that I'm very, very upset with the Raiders franchise as a whole. I know the owner, Mark Davis, should want to win. I know the coach and the players, they're going to want to win. I get it. I understand. I'm not stupid. I realize that this is a profession for them. They have lives at stake. A lot of them have jobs on the line. They're going to want to win as many times as possible. But damn it, Just like back in the day when we would go out to Hammerjacks or Water's Edge, and one of us would look at the other one in the group and be like, yo, you got to take one for the team tonight, homie. And one of us did, because we're friends like that. You got to take one for the team, players. Players. Come on. Come on. It just makes me want to cry. And I just, why? This is what you get. This, you know what? This is what you get, Raiders. And I don't even know.
We taught it.
Now, I'm going to leave that there because I don't want to get canceled. That was from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, not myself. But that's you Raiders. You make stupid decisions. You make stupid damn decisions. Stupid damn decisions. God bless. Anyways, thank y'all for tuning in. Again, make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS, so you can get all this good content. Where else would you get to see me give such a thespionic performance? I mean, I should be acting in Hollywood. I should be a mainstream film actor. I should be an A-lister. Do you see the range that I just exhibited there? I went from man, you know what? Just so many range of emotions just showed in that one diatribe. Hollywood, I'm waiting. Call my agent, Ramo Rodriguez. You can reach out to him at MVP Specialty Marketing Business for anyone looking for marketing, any athletes, entertainers out there. Make sure you get MVP Specialty Marketing Business. Ramo Rodriguez, ask for him and he will hook you up. They have the best marketing, the best social media team. They'll do all your branding. MVPSMB.com. All right. Again, thank y'all for tuning in. Let's go ahead and get into these power rankings before we get out of here for the evening. So first of all, our men's college basketball power rankings. Number one, still your Tennessee Volunteers at 11-0. They're actually going to get now against MTS, also known as Middle Tennessee State University. MTSU is up 37-34. So actually, go watch that game before the football game. Auburn is at number 2 with a 11-1 record, so SEC dominance up top, because you'll also find out that at number 5, Alabama is at number 5. Number 3, Ohio State at 10-1. Duke is at number 4 with a 10-2 record. Aforementioned Alabama at 10-2. So 3 SEC teams in the top 5 of your men's college basketball rankings. Now, on to your women's college basketball rankings. My lady, I did it again, damn it. I left the UCLA hat in the room. I told myself to bring it in, and I did it again. One day, ladies, I will remember to bring it on the show. But I'll see y'all next week. When I come over to the University of Maryland to come play my alumni, the Terps. I'll be sitting there to see you with my boy Valentino and my old roommate, Akbadian, who I haven't seen in forever. Shout out to my boys. UCLA Lady Bruins at 12-0. Still the best team in the country, you're damn right. At number 2, South Carolina, the ones we beat. They're at 11-1, moving into that number 2 spot because UConn took a bit of a tumble with a loss, going down 3 spots down to number 7. But Notre Dame is at number 3, 10-2 record. FUSC, excuse me, as you know, I like to call them as a UCLA fan. We don't like the Trojan condoms. They're at 11-1 record at number 4. And then the Lady Longhorns of Texas at number 5 with a 12-1 record. Also, shout out to my alumnus, the Lady Terrapins from the University of Maryland at 11-0. Brenda Freeze has them with an undefeated record. So I'm very happy in terms of college basketball this year because both and also the men's teams for UCLA and Maryland are both ranked in the top 25. So all 4 of the teams I follow in college basketball. Obviously, y'all know I am more of a UCLA fan because I was always a UCLA fan, and I didn't end up cheering for Maryland until I went to school later in life as an adult. But I'll still root for my college that I went to. I'm happy because they all have good basketball teams this year because their football teams suck. So we all know that. Moving on to the NBA, let's look at our Week 10 power rankings. We have a switch up top in the first two spots. So last week you had, excuse me, I gotta get some water. I'm a little parched. The Oklahoma City Thunder was your number one team last week. They now moved down to number 2. Your Cleveland Cavaliers are back on top. At number 3, my Boston Celtics still holding steady. Oh, sorry, I forgot to give the records there. Cleveland Cavaliers are 25-4. The Oklahoma City are 22-5. The Boston Celtics, 22 wins, 6 losses. The Dallas Mavericks at number 4, 18 wins, 10 losses. And at number, I skipped number 4 was the Memphis Grizzlies, who moved up from number 5, from last week. They're 20-9, 20 wins, 9 losses. And then the Mavericks are at number 5 with 18 wins and 10 losses. Now, as those who watch any show that I've been on when I talk basketball, you know that there is well, you don't have to watch me. You can watch any basketball expert or insider, and you would know this information. But usually the teams that have the best chance of winning the championships are teams that rank in the top 10 of offensive and defensive efficiency rating. And all 5 of those top teams in the power rankings are in the top 10 of both offense and defense, which means we're going to have a heck of a playoff with a bunch of good teams just playing each other. It's going to be something beautiful to watch. So look out for that. Moving into our NHL hockey power rankings for the week. Let's go ahead and get kicked off at number 1. We have your Minnesota Wild, at 20 wins, 8 losses, and 4 draws. That is your Minnesota Wild. The Washington Capitals. Yeah, shout out to the DMV, even though they beat my Los Angeles Kings yesterday. Shout out my boy Taylor and the whole crew at Bricks, where I was last night. Bricks Oven Pizzeria in Stonebridge, Virginia. Shout out to all the family there. But we were watching the Capitals and the Kings play. The Capitals unfortunately won and beat my team, but 21-8-2 record. The Capitals there at the number 2 spot. They are waiting on Ovechkin to come back. He has 868 goals, 27 away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's NHL record of 894. My buddy Taylor thinks that he will be able to break the record, so we will see what happens there. At number 3, the Winnipeg Jets are 23 wins, 10 losses, and 1 draw. At number 4, the Vegas Golden Knights, 20 wins, 8 losses, and 3 draws. And then the New Jersey Devils at number 5 at 21 wins, 10 losses, and 3 ties. The Devils are on a run. So you just saw me kind of look away and mouth off. Not mouth off, sorry, mouth something. Wow, mouth is definitely not where I was going with that whatsoever. Don't think I was mouthing off. I was not. I promise you. I was mouthing something there, and I'll get into a little bit of that here in a second. Let's finish this off with our NFL power rankings. But please, y'all, make sure you hit that like button, that love button. Help us out there in the algorithm. Get this out to as many people as possible. Make sure you subscribe at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. Please share any videos you see. There's a QR code up in the right-hand corner. It will take you to our link tree that will have all of our links for our YouTube, where you can subscribe. You can follow our Instagram. You can follow Clubber D's TikTok as long as they're around. You can follow, you can go to MVP Specialty Marketing Business. You can follow us on X or Twitter. So, again, use that QR code, or make sure the most important thing that you subscribe at Ball and Buds, because that's where you'll be able to see all of our videos. And as well, if you want the audio podcast version, if you like that, we are on Zencaster. I'm not going to read out the whole link now because it is long, but go ahead and click that QR code or scan that QR code at the top, and you can find our audio version as well of the podcast. So thank you again to everybody tuning in today. Let's hit these NFL playoff or NFL power rankings and playoff picture, and then we'll get into our final note of the evening before we get out of here for Christmas break. So let me go ahead and I'm going to bring up on the screen just to show y'all what the playoff picture looks like right now in the NFL. So our NFL, right, we have 2 games left in the season, and so a lot of the playoff spots are already shown up, especially in the AFC. So you'll see as we scroll down here a little bit, the Chiefs have locked up the number 1 seed. They do have a 14-1 record, so they have 2 wins above the Bills, but they also hold the tiebreaker over the Bills from beating them earlier this year. So the Chiefs are your number 1 team and hold that by home field advantage. The Buffalo Bills are there at number 2 with a 2-game advantage over your Pittsburgh Steelers at number 3 and also the Baltimore Ravens at number 5. Both teams battling it there for the AFC North. It's going to be a great race the next 2 weeks to see who wins that division. The Houston Texans at 9-6 are securely in the driver's seat for the win of that division. You can see there are no other teams there. The only other teams in the hunt are the Chargers at 9-6 and the Broncos at 9-6. And so you'll say, okay, well, there's already 5 teams. There's 2 playoff spots available. There's 2 in the hunt. Well, Omar, that means that all 7 teams are accounted for. And so mathematically, no, right? There is still a very, very, very outside chance that the Chargers or the Broncos, they would have to both lose, not both, one of them would have to lose both of their next games. And then the teams that are not yet eliminated, but on the bubble, as you see down here, the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Bengals would have to win their next 2 games. And then there would be other tie-breaking scenarios that would come into play. But along the lines of who controls their destiny, the Chargers and the Broncos. All they have to do is win 1, and they're in the playoffs. So I take Jake's Broncos are actually going to make it, and so are the Chargers. With the Chiefs, the number 1 seed, it makes me sick to my stomach. I think I'm about to go throw up. Moving on to the NFC, the Detroit Lions are 13-2. They're looking a little vulnerable with injuries and losses over the past couple of weeks, but I think we all need to just relax and see what happens. They were a good team. It wasn't just about one individual, no matter how great Aiden Hutchinson is. It wasn't about one position. It's about the whole team as a core. Eagles at number 2. We'll see what happens, but no Jalen Hurts. That's no Super Bowl. Sorry, you ain't going there with Kenny Pickett. I'll tell you that much. Although I heard something hilarious on a YouTube video earlier today. What if the Eagles won the Super Bowl over the Steelers with Kenny Pickett? Oh God, the Steelers fans will freak out. My buddy Clutch Cleveland will not be happy about that at all. The Vikings at number 5. You see they're at 13-2. How can you be 13-2 and be the number 5 seed? You ask me. That's because the Lions are so good, and the NFC North in general has had, as the kids say these days, a glow up. I actually think that's the first time I've ever heard that come out of my mouth before. I don't think I've ever said that before. I kind of instantly regret saying that now. But the NFC North used to be a division we shit on, and now they're a division that many are aspiring to be in, because you can see those Packers are also in a good spot. 10-4. They play the Saints tonight. I don't even have to tell you my pick. You should know Saints, no Derek Carr. There's no way they beat the Packers in Lambeau Field when it's going to be cold as all get out. I've got the Packers in a blowout there. Probably 14, maybe even 21. I'm thinking like a 38-17 game. Anyways, Rams at number 3 and Falcons at number 4 with 9-6, 8-7 records respectively. Canteens, Falcons there. And then the Commanders, shout out here in the DMV, all my Commanders fans at 10-5. Now with Jalen Hurts going down, if he's out, the Commanders may be able to take control and win the NFC East. How crazy would that be? I did talk to a bunch of Redskins fans this weekend. Shout out the Browns and all of our friends that were there. What a wonderful Friendsmas party we had. Woo! It was awesome. Bunch of friends that we've had for 30 years got together, and just what a great time that was. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. I love you all. But anyways, a bunch of them are Commanders fans, as we are to do, as they are wont to do in DC. Not me. I hate the Commanders. You can kiss my buttocks with that. But anyways, they're in. They have a chance now with Jalen Hurts going down, and then you have the Buccaneers and the Seahawks here, 8-7 respectively. Wizards records, but they I don't know why I thought of the sorry ass Wizards. The Bullets Um, wow, that's a throwback. But anyways, they are both still in the hunt, but probably not going to happen for them. The Buccaneers losing that game to the Cowboys yesterday. Wow. I know my dad is, he probably doesn't care because, well, he's probably happy they won. I mean, I'm sure he's like he's a realistic fan like me, and I care about the draft pick, although they have a much better record. The Buccaneers should not have lost that game. I'm sorry, Bucky Irving. I'm not gonna be one to come on here and degrade you. People have done that all day today on network television, so I'm not gonna come here to do that. But one thing I will say is the ball security unacceptable. Right before you fumble the ball, you run with the ball in one hand, doing spin moves and stuff. I mean, you're asking for the ball to be fumbled, and that's exactly what happened. You fumbled the ball. Your team subsequently lost the game. Basically, because of that, you can always say that it doesn't come down to one play, but when it happens at the end of the game, the team turns around and wins. Well, you can pretty much kind of shut that down to one play. So I hate to kind of do that, but it's the truth. And it may cost the Buccaneers a playoff spot. And if it does, there's going to be a lot of upset fans in Tampa Bay. I wouldn't be surprised, and I hope not, because people are very mean on the internet. But I would not be surprised if some people have already contacted Mr. Irving's social media trying to act like some keyboard warriors and saying a bunch of out-of-pocket stuff. So don't do that. We all make mistakes. He does not deserve to be accosted. He does not deserve to be threatened, him or his family. So please act like decent human beings, um, and don't do stupid shit like that. That being said, I am so happy that you all tuned in for this Xmas special. Again, to whatever holiday you are celebrating, I celebrate Christmas, but to whatever you celebrate, may it be merry, may it be happy, may it be filled with family, friends, and blessings. I know personally that I am extremely blessed, not only to have a family that loves me and that I have a great relationship with, but also my mom and my dad, the best parents someone could ever ask for. If you saw me kind of smiling a little bit there earlier, my mom is watching the show and she heard me say that I needed water. And we have a mini fridge in here, and she knows I didn't want to interrupt my program. She walked over, got out of bed, and came and got me a water and opened it for me and everything. So I am blessed to say she is my angel. She is my everything. I love her so much. I love my dad. I love all my friends. I love all my family. I am so grateful and thankful for all of you, my fans. We look forward to a prosperous and successful 2025. Ball and Buds is going all the way to the top, and we are glad to have you along for the ride. Let me get a little bit before I get too parched. We're happy to have you along for the ride. Again, before I start to tear up too much, talking about my mom and my dad and my friends, got me a little misty-eyed there. Love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Again, subscribe at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. For everybody at Ball and Buds, Clubber D, the Combat G, my boys at the Bottom Line Sports Crew. Make sure you check that out tomorrow as well. A lot of y'all will want to tune in. It'll be an episode, obviously our holiday episode. It will definitely be an episode to remember. And the reason I say be grateful in life, y'all, is because not all of us, again, are going to have stuff this year. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to go this holiday season without food, without presents. There's a lot of people that are going to sleep in the cold. And so just think about those people. If you have the ability to give to those people or help out the people, please do. But in this life, nothing is guaranteed. As a Andre from the classic one on the from the I love Cash out. Even the eventually die. Horoscopes often lie. Sometimes why? Nothing's for nothing and nothing. But the curtain, it was them and I. Love y'all. Salute. See you tomorrow on Sports AM. Make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds for all the other videos. I wish you a Merry and Happy Christmas. I am Omar, the Professor Fonseca, and this is the Professor's Semanalmente. All right, y'all. Peace, love, be kind to each other, treat each other right, and have an amazing holiday season. All right. Later, y'all. Oh, here we go. Now you go.
He's with the millions.
It's that world heavyweight flow. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure flow. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat close. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated, folks. Get ready, set, let's go. Fight toe to toe, release the flow created by this mic pro. Lights, camera, get low. Action packed, back to back. In fact, this monster will grow. Y'all better let him know. Man with the master plan, and you have no need to know. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.
Sports Professor. Oh!